What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of SSPN Postgame, a W edition of SSPN Postgame, Ethan. 121 to 109. The injured Spurs, without Keldon Johnson for the second half, find a way to get a win against another bottom tier team in the Detroit Pistons. And that was kind of the first thing that I wanted to start off with, Ethan. Within like the first 5 minutes of this game, I was like, okay, I'm just happy to watch like an evenly matched team. Like for both teams, it's like just go out there and play, see what happens. Like you don't have to do something like you don't have to overcome like all of this crazy stuff in order to just be competitive. It was nice to just see the guy play out there for the first time in a while.
To finally have a competitive game that's like
Yeah.
evenly matched. Yeah,
Right.
it's fantastic. Like I wish both teams were good so we could actually brag about this win, but because
Right.
both teams are obviously pretty trash, not can't brag too much, but there's still some positives to go on, Jude. Especially since, like you said, Devin was hurt and then Keldon didn't play in that second half, only had 13 minutes total. The other guys really stepped it up. Romeo and Leisha, we can just start it off with
Right
that one.
there.
Romeo Langford with 15 points, 7 for 12 tonight, 1 for 2 from three-point land. Really overall solid game from him. He finally felt aggressive again after that 0 for 7 game that he had. He kind of fell off for the game, maybe 2 games after that. Finally back, looking aggressive, getting to the basket. Love to see that from him. Playmaking for others too. I know he only had 1 assist, but I think he's getting better. Just kind of passing the ball, feeling more comfortable as a playmaker and as a ball handler, which is a great sign. And then defensively, we know what he is. Tre Jones is that guy. Again, Pistons. But 25 points, 3 assists, 3 boards, 11 for 18 tonight. He looked fantastic. Defensively, he looked really good. He only had 2 steals, which doesn't jump off the box score. But if you watch the game tonight, he was hounding the Pistons guards.
Sean Elliott literally said during the broadcast when Dan Weiss was like, he has 2 steals right now. He's like, it feels like more.
It does feel like more. Unfortunately, the Pistons go. Killian Hayes had 7 steals? No, 5. Excuse me, 5 steals.
Yeah.
So I mean, that jumps off the box score, but it felt like Tre was almost doing more than that tonight. He was really terrific. And then Jakob Poeltl. What more can you ask from Jakob? 11 points, not huge, but 16 rebounds,
He was
7
doing
assists,
so much other
3
stuff tonight.
blocks. He finally felt 7 feet tall. He was doing everything for us tonight, and maybe silence a little bit of that Jalen Duren talk. We wanted to draft him. Was that the Primo draft though? No, right?
No,
that
he was this year. Yeah, because they said he was the
Okay.
youngest player in the league. Yeah,
That's right. I'm tripping. Anyway, a lot of people wanted to draft him. Thought he was the next coming of Dwight Howard, and he's a solid player. Don't get me wrong, and I would have liked to have had him on the team, but Jakob Poeltl made him look not too good tonight. He only had 11 points, but was minus 11 in the box score. Really didn't seem that effective for the Pistons tonight.
definitely didn't jump out because of what Jakob did.
And the bench, I mean, I'll kick it off to you because I've been talking for a while, but the bench overall played a great game, and Malachi in particular seemed a little bit more comfortable. His shots were finally falling. Only shot 50%, 2 for 3 from 3, but he had a pull up at the end of the shot clock that was just money butter from 3-point land. So that's always
that
great
was
to
a
see.
huge shot because the Pistons were starting to get some momentum at that time, and the way that he pulled up I can't remember who it was, but it was in their face with the shot clock winding down. It was a big shot.
And Stanley Johnson, 3 for 3 from 3, looking like prime, I don't know who, Reggie Miller, the way he kind of came in, just like an instant spark plug, hitting threes all over the place, making the extra pass that got him an even more wide open 3 in the corner. If you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about. It was really a great classic Spurs ball movement play. But a lot of positives, good defense, good aggressiveness. But again, Pistons. So take it with a grain of salt, but I will pass it on to you, Jude. How did you feel about tonight's game?
Well, I think it's key there that you say it is the Pistons and you take it with a grain of salt. But the flip side of that is it's like the guys are able to show a little bit more because it's an evenly matched game. So we got to see a lot of good stuff tonight. Once again, if you watched our last post game, we talked about the stretch coming up for the Spurs, especially with Keldon Johnson's injury. There already wasn't going to be a lot of W's, but I mean, it's going to be rough. I mean, hopefully Keldon comes back next game. It didn't look too serious, or even if it's not next game, hopefully it's like, at most like a 2 to 3 game thing. But really in this stretch, it's not going to matter anyways. But the point is with him getting a little banged up, and with Devin getting the surgery, this stretch was already going to be tough even with both of those guys.
Yeah.
And now it's just going to be that more tougher. Just want to talk about that a little bit as well. Ayala mentions here, she was talking about that Pop said that Devin should be back sometime after February 19th or the All-Star break,
Yep.
is what they talked about during tonight's game. So they said he had a chronically sore knee. So this is the season to have a surgery for something like that. That's for sure. Also want to mention our man Birkin Altinock comment here. That missed dunk from Romeo could have been dunk of the month. I immediately texted Ethan during the game, and I was like, "Oh, I wanted that so bad." But the good news for him is he right after that he ran the pick and roll like twice, and I didn't know he had that in his bag, but he was taking the ball up the floor on like the next 3 possessions and was able to get some buckets, just taking people off the dribble and working in the PNR, which is something we haven't seen too much of him from. So, as Sean mentioned this at the end of the game too, because of the situation that we were talking about, just playing the Pistons, and because of the injuries, a lot of guys got to show their bag tonight.
Yes.
And our man David Delgado's in the comments right now. He says Malachi's been so consistent. He's just continuing to get more and more consistent. The ball dropped a little bit more tonight, and that's kind of all we've been talking about. Same spots, other than kind of that pull-up three in that guy's face at the end of the shot clock.
Tough.
Most of it was kind of the same stuff we'd seen from Malachi. It was just now that shot is dropping. But the other thing that we got to see from him was that backdoor cut pass from Jakob with the dunk. That was some other stuff that we hadn't seen, and another theme that we've been talking about on the show for a while, and that's going to continue to be a theme moving forward. And we were talking about it before the show, is Blake Wesley's probably going to come up. And that's kind of what the broadcast team alluded to at the end of the game with the waiving of Gorgie Zhang and Noah Vonleh to leave that open roster spot. And to see Malachi have that off-ball movement when Blake is about to come in and be that primary ball handler off the bench, you love to see that. And also, throughout all this time, it's like Malachi has gotten better and better every game, handling the ball as well. So the other kind of blessing in disguise, even though it hasn't been the prettiest thing at times, is that he's got to just have a little bit more of that, some reps to show off his combo guard ability, which is really what we drafted him as. Obviously, he's going to be more of a 2, as we've mentioned numerous times, but for him to get those reps to improve those skills as a combo guard was something that's been great, throughout this whole I guess since Blake Wesley got injured. That's the way to put it. Another guy who had a great game tonight, I thought Jeremy Sohan had a solid game.
Yes.
Did have the 5 turnovers, but still 10 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. He took some guys off the dribble and made some good buckets tonight, switched defensively as he normally does. You already mentioned Jakob. The big thing that stood out for me tonight was the passing ability. And that was so huge because you had to have Trey kind of not be as much of a facilitator and be the lead scorer tonight with Devin already out and then Keldon only playing 13 minutes. And the fact that Trey was able to get up to 25, still have 2 steals. Yes, of course, only 3 rebounds and 3 assists, but in his role tonight, it was completely different. And the fact that he was able to show that, hey, like in a situation where this happens, maybe down the line and it's a big game, we need to win, like I can take people off the dribble and score. It was very reminiscent of the end of the Jazz game where he was able to get those 2 clutch buckets at the end of that one, which you were at. And so to see him have 25 tonight, I don't know if that's a career high, but I believe it is.
I think it's one off. I think he had 26.
Okay. Well, still, one of his most high scoring games of his career. I love to see it. I kind of want to see, obviously Trey's going to be a facilitator mainly, but just if Keldon's out for a couple games, I'd like to see kind of Trey, try to get 20 on a couple more games. Maybe, that's a little bit too much to ask, but I liked watching him show off his scoring ability. I wouldn't mind seeing more of it.
It's the way he was scoring for me. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But it's so reminiscent. I know they're completely different players. One's more athletic, obviously. One is a Hall of Famer, and one's a second-round pick that's just playing over his head at this point in his career. But Chris Paul, fourth quarter time, kind of with the Phoenix Suns last year and the year before, how he was able to manipulate the pick and roll, get mid-range jumpers, mid-range floaters, anything he wants. And it just seems so effortless, and his ball handling seemed on another level tonight as well. And like you said, he didn't really need to be that facilitator because of Jakob, so he was able to get those baskets because they weren't like easy wide open layups. They were tough contested
Tough
layups
buckets. Yep.
over outstretched hands, pull
One he
up
hit over
jumpers,
Jalen Duren, and that was really impressive.
a bank shot. He had a fall away bank shot. I remember in the fourth
Yep.
quarter over, I think Isaiah Stewart maybe.
And those are
Like,
two bigs.
yeah, I mean, he is showing signs of a bag that we just we haven't seen so far, and I hope these injuries give him an opportunity to kind of feel that out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Right. Obviously, when those guys come back, he's going to be a facilitator, but you just
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen during a season, especially down the line when you're trying to compete. To see that from him was definitely just one game against the Pistons, but well, it wasn't his career high. So, still, like just echoing what you said, to see him score was nice. Another thing I just have to talk about tonight. Poor Isaiah Roby, man. Pop tried to give him some minutes, and it was just so obvious that Stanley was the better option. The thing is like he wasn't even doing anything necessarily bad. It's just you have an obviously better option. I still like having him on the team. Like I wouldn't mind bringing him back next year. Like not to
Yeah.
be anything crazy, but like the same kind of contract. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But just just unfortunate there with how his season has gone, because at the beginning of the season it looked like he was showing some promise and might get some rotation minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a bigger
uh
body than Stanley, but
right.
he plays very perimeter. So if we want somebody that's at that position to play very perimeter, so you're right. Stanley's just a better option. He's a better shooter. He's a better
Hmm.
ball handler. He's a little smaller, so he can defend a little
But he's like
easier.
also bigger because he
He's
weighs
also,
more than
yeah,
him.
he feels stronger in
Right.
a weird way because he's such a bulky dude. So I think he's kind of caught in limbo again, which is unfortunate because that's what happened to him in OKC. Is just there was like he's good, but there's
Yeah.
better options right now, I like Roby, and like you said, it looked like he had some promise, but it's not looking too hot for him, and not looking hot for Keita either. One of the
That's true, because Kata didn't get any minutes tonight.
He hasn't gotten minutes in a couple games, I think,
Yeah.
and the last time he did, it was, like, sporadic. He got, like, 8, kinda like how Roby got 7 tonight. Um, I'm not sure what's going on with him. As one of the comments in our last live was, "Is Keita in the doghouse?" And I was like, "I don't think he's in the doghouse per se. I just think he's a vet, and we have 2 younger players in Johnson and Roby that are at that same spot."
It's come full circle for KBD, man. Like literally this is his role now is the role we had when he signed him. Well,
Yeah,
first he was a two-way, and then we signed him to a regular contract and didn't really play. And then since then, it's like he's found some minutes, and now it's like we've got we got Sohan and Stanley
yeah,
Johnson.
yeah, yeah. He's
Poor
finally in the
guy.
role that we
I
brought him
know.
in to play. Like,
It's full circle.
yeah, good for him. He's still making that money. I still like him as a
Right.
leader. So good depth player.
Our man David Delgado says that Sohan to J. Rich alley was beautiful. Um, and yeah, definitely lots of good passes all around. I loved what we saw from J. Rich tonight. We'll see if these are the final days of J. Rich in San Antonio, but
Mm,
games like tonight are the ones that why we've just loved him since the trade last year.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I feel like the most J Rich moment tonight. Obviously, he had like the two dunks. He had a putback the other game, and then he had this, behind the like, I don't know how to describe it.
a
Backwards
reverse, a
reverse slam. There
reverse.
you go. He had the reverse slam tonight. But whenever I think it was Killian Hayes jumped out of bounds and threw the
Oh, he threw the
ball off
ball
of
off.
him, and he just started dying. I was just like, I'm so glad, like, because I know Jay Rich got a lot of crap in Boston, and obviously, like, his role was bigger there, and they wanted him to be more because that's a championship competitive team. But I'm glad now, like, when crap like that happens, like, he could just lay on the floor and laugh because he's in San Antonio right now, and there's just so much less pressure. I also love the teaching moments he had to
Hmm.
Malachi when Malachi drove inside and hit him for that wide open three. But beforehand, he was telling him to push it to Doug in the corner. A little bit of a broken play, but still made it happen. Got a wide open look, and it was like Malachi was going up to him. He's like, "What did I do wrong?" And he was like, "No, dude, you just get passed to a wide open three. Like, great play." And then you saw Pop both like pull them together and give him a little talk. Like, that's the stuff like that Jay Rich is doing for the team right now. That is invaluable because it's like, I mean, those moments for Malachi are just, they're huge from a vet like him. So I'm gonna, I hope it's not his last days, man. Like these games, even Doug had a solid game tonight. I know it wasn't the greatest shooting night, but that nifty reverse layup. And in the second half, he was able to find his shot a little bit more. Um, and those guys were crucial tonight too, just in being veterans that,
Hmm.
knew where to go and knew what to do in the wake of Keldon's injury. That's why you have those guys. And they've been having less minutes, so it's been nice to see them get more run. We'll see if it's their final days as Spurs, but yeah, the games like tonight make you appreciate them for sure.
It's going to be sad if they do end up being traded. I mean, I get it from a front office standpoint. It's
Right.
logical. We're rebuilding. They can win somewhere else. We need draft capital, all that
Hmm.
stuff. But like everything that you said, echo it times 10. They're just such great leaders, such great vets, and I think they really do enjoy being in San Antonio,
That's
which
the
is
worst part. Like
yeah.
that.
It's tough to find guys that want to be in San Antonio,
Yeah.
especially at this point in their career, and I think that they do. I'm sure they'd like to win too, but if this were 1996, these are the guys that would hang around for the rest of their careers and be
Yeah.
like, okay, well, eventually I get that we won't play, but I still want to try and be a part of this rebuild. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like if this was a different era, but we're in modern NBA, and that's just not how things work, which sucks, but it just is what it is.
Yeah. Another comment here. Kieda just came back from a stomach illness or something like that. So
Is he
maybe
still
that's
sick? I thought that was a
um,
while ago.
that may have been, but maybe there was another one that we
Another one.
missed. We could that may because that would. I
There
mean,
has been a flu going around San Antonio
that's
area.
yeah. So we'll look into that, but that could be also another reason why maybe Roby got minutes tonight because earlier in the season it was like you're definitely going to play KBD over him,
Yeah.
and just with how long he's been with the Spurs. But we can get back into this game a little bit, but there was also an Austin Spurs game, so I wanted to go ahead and
Blake
check and
had a
check.
nasty poster. I don't know if you saw
I
that.
did not see that. I checked. I saw a little pull up jumper in traffic off a pick and roll early in the first quarter. But I
Everyone
will
go look at his
definitely.
Instagram story. He put
I'm
it on his
gonna.
Instagram story.
I'm gonna have to go check that out for sure. Another loss for the Austin Spurs, but
Mm.
Ethan, it was a back to back against that Capital City Go Go,
Oh, there's
which is you know,
Dynasty,
man, dude, I can't believe their name is that. First of all,
the go-go.
what are the Wizards doing there? Like, can we anything else? Maybe I just am not familiar with DC, but
Yeah.
okay. But in all reality, they're 5-0, and at the top of they're juggernauts in the G League Eastern Conference. So
Mm.
you gotta give them the respect.
Juggernauts. The
Okay,
dynastic
they
go-go.
they are undefeated though. Okay,
Good for them.
so we'll read off another great stat line from Charles Bassey. 32 minutes, 8 for 12, 12 boards, 18 points, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Um, him doing his normal thing down there. Blake Wesley, not the greatest shooting night tonight, but that's kind of been, he had that's been his theme really in the G League. He's taken a lot of shots. Sometimes it's not efficient, sometimes it is. He's a rookie. 13 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, so 6 turnovers. Like when you think of Blake Wesley's play style coming out of college, obviously, looked a little bit more clean in like the one game we saw him in San Antonio. It fits. Like this makes sense to me. I know some people may be like, "Oh, well, that's excuses. That's not a good stat line." It's like he's a rookie, like, and he's like kind of a like I've made in other episodes. I'm not calling him Tony Parker, but I'm saying like in the same way that Dejounte came in and Tony came in as not supernatural playmakers. And more scorers. That's kind of what Blake Wesley is. He was the
Mm.
main guy at Notre Dame and was their top tier scorer. So he's going to get it playing in San Antonio. He's going to get the playmaking down.
Yeah.
And so an inefficient night for him. But at the same time, that's kind of been the story so far in the G League for him. You love that he's taking the same amount of shots each time because that's what he should be doing. And then our man Dom Barlow, not a crazy scoring night, did hit 1-3, got some free throws as well. But here's the thing I love to see: 11 boards with a steal
Mm.
and a block. And that's like every game, regardless of his scoring, since the regular season. For the Austin Spurs has started because they played the whole G League showcase and they had a little bit of preseason before then. Don Barlow wasn't really like as big of a presence on the boards, excuse me. But since they've started the G League regular season, he's averaging like at least 10 a game. I want to say like every game there was another one. The last one we checked, he had 14. So you love to see him doing that and getting a steal and a block as well. Cause really that's what he's supposed to be. And he's a developmental player. So, we'd love to see the scoring a little bit more, but that's also not really his role on the team. And good to see him getting double digits on the boards pretty consistently.
Positive things going down in Austin, Jude.
Positive things going down for sure. Well, I guess we can go ahead and preview the revenge game tomorrow for Romeo and J. Rich versus Boston, but also the revenge game for Derek White.
Yeah, this is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, especially with the Keldon thing and Devin being out, this is going to be so bad.
I would love for it to not be one, Jude, but these are the Boston Celtics that are like,
look, no. Shai Gilgeous. OKC beat them by 40. We're going for 50.
Man.
No way. That did happen, though. I'm sure some of you guys might have already heard this, watching some other games, but if you haven't, there was a game I think it was last week. Two or three nights ago, where the Shai Gilgeous, Alexander Liss, Oklahoma City Thunder beat the fully healthy Boston Celtics 150-111. And unfortunately for the Spurs, that was like 3 games too early for them, because now they're not going to be caught off guard against a team like the Spurs.
Yeah.
Bloodbath, like you said.
Like I said. And it doesn't help that their 2 best defenders will be guarding, I guess, Romeo and...
Dude, we're not going to play Keldon. There's no way we play Keldon on a back-to-back. Just Spurs, no way. Even if he's fine and could go 100%, we're not playing him tomorrow night because he got hurt tonight, which means they will be guarding Romeo Langford and Trey Jones.
And wait, who's our other wing? Who's going to replace Keldon? Jay Rich or Doug or Stanley? Or Malachi. Malachi might get to start because he's started before when Devin was out early in the season, right?
Yeah, honestly, that's probably what we'll do. We'll probably go Trey, Malachi, Romeo, Sohan, Jakob.
Yeah, and Sohan's going to have to guard Jason Tatum for 48 minutes. And Romeo's going to have to guard Jaylen Brown.
Oh, imagine if Blake gets pulled up for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And that's his first game. Guy. And Derek just harasses him the whole time. He's
charge
like,
after charge after
teach
charge.
You what Pop taught me.
Honestly, let's do it. Good teaching experience. I'm looking forward to watching it.
No, that would be super fun, especially if Blake can go up against Derek. The best part about this game is going to be the Derek tribute video.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to cry, for sure.
You're going to cry? You know what I'm looking forward to the most?
What?
Blake Griffin and Jeremy Sohan just really bothering each other the whole game. Because they're both such, like, kind of jerks on the court, you know? Like, they do, like, little things to bother you. Yeah. Like, they're just going to be, like, grabbing each other's nipples the whole game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Well, Sam Hauser, he's going to get exposed tomorrow.
There we go. I'm looking.
It's probably the only person in the Celtics rotation who's going to get exposed, who we have any chance of doing something to. If we can get a poster on Sam Hauser, it'll be a victory.
A victory indeed. We need one highlight. That's all we want. We need one big highlight.
Oh my gosh. Well, any final thoughts on this Pistons game before we jump into that thing tomorrow?
Chemistry looks like it's getting better.
Yep. Constant improvement, really, which is the theme that we've talked about. I forget what game exactly it was, but it feels like there was like a turning point, and now it's just since we started to get a couple more wins. Nothing crazy, but the guys are getting better. That's the main thing. You saw Trey show some new stuff. You've seen Romeo show some new stuff. Sohan's working through his rookie stuff. Malachi is the main one. That's the main progression that we've loved to see. And so that's the thing to also keep in mind with Blake coming back. As much as we loved like the minutes that he got, and maybe he is just a guy that comes in and is just plays up to the moment and is just like what we saw in that one game. But because it's such a small sample size, inevitably there are going to be mistakes for sure. I would expect it to probably be a little bit more like Malachi, where he's not going to do anything crazy. And then, by March or whatever, when we get Devin back, that'll probably be around when we're seeing Blake a little bit more comfortable.
I would agree.
But that's once again, the main thing we're looking forward to. We appreciate you guys. We hope you guys enjoyed today's SSPN post game. If you like today's show, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe below. If you want to stay updated with the show or even watch it on Twitter, follow us on Twitter at SSPN on YT, at Jude McLaren, and at Ethan_Quintero. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all in the next one, and we'll see y'all later.